Hello, this is Lillian, welcoming you to the 1916th edition of the Enfield Talking newspaper, Dateline the 15th of August 2013. The readers this week are Joan, Rod and myself, Lillian, with Cassandra and Colin on the controls. The items that we will be reading come from our local newspapers, the Enfield Gazette and Advertiser, and the Enfield Independent, and are their copyright. Our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Prilly, Fernand Boulon, Harry Brewer, and performed by Jean-Jacques Perry, and is used with his kind permission. Local stories include Fears for Park over School Plan, M&S Distribution Centre to be closed, Pay Attention to Silent Killer, and Group puts stop to Day Store Plan. The Clay Store, I beg your pardon. Can't read my own writing. If you are experiencing any problems receiving your Enfield Talking newspaper, please phone Diane de Jersey on 0208 805 6578. That's 0208 805 6578. She is your listener's representative, and she will be pleased to help you. And I have one special news item for you, which I've been asked to read. It's about free home fire safety visits by your local firefighters in Enfield. Firefighters in Enfield Borough are asking all members of the blind community to invite the fire brigade to visit their home to check and ensure they are safe from fire. They will also provide advice specifically tailored to you, so you will know what to do if a fire happens, and fit free smoke detectors. Please call this free phone number to arrange a time and date convenient to you for the fire brigade to complete this life-saving work. If you have email, it's smokealarms@londonfire.gov.uk, and the telephone number is 08 000 284428. That's 08 000 284428. And text is / S for sugar, M for mother, S for sugar, 07781 472 409. And the text phone is 0208 536 5914. Thank you.
More than 250 workers could lose their jobs after retail giant Marks & Spencer announced it will be shutting in Enfield the warehouse next year. The borough's unemployment figures face another blow when the retailer's distribution centre in Bancroft Way, Brimsdown, shuts for good early in 2014. However, a spokeswoman from warehouse management company Wincanton, which runs the centre, told the Advertiser the company would do everything it could to find jobs in other centres for the under-threat workers. She added, should the proposal to shut the centre go ahead, the site will close in the first half of 2014, affecting 257 Wincanton employees who are currently based there. Both M&S and Wincanton wish to make it clear that this proposal is in no way a reflection of the commitment and contribution of the Wincanton team in Enfield, whose performance has been exemplary throughout. Despite the company's assurances, the RMT union, which represents many of the centre's workers, warned that the announcement was grim news for Enfield and the surrounding area. A union spokesman said, at this stage we are awaiting further information from the company, But whatever the outcome, we are fully committed to fighting to protect our members' jobs and standards of living. He added, clearly, there is still a need to distribute M&S produce, and RMT is working to ensure that staff have the opportunity to transfer to alternative employment within that distribution framework. Stressing that the decision was part of an efficiency drive, a spokesman from Marks & Spencer said, "We have to reorganize our supply network, and as part of that work, we have made a proposal to close our warehouse in Enfield. We will now work closely with the operator, Wincanton, its employees, and other shareholders to discuss the future of the site. We understand that it will be an unsettling time for all involved and will do all we can to offer support throughout the process." Now here is the advertiser's comment on the whole of the situation. The announcement that more than 250 jobs will be lost with the closure of the Marks & Spencer distribution centre is yet another blow to Enfield's economic recovery, as we are bombarded with the news that the cost of living continues to rise, wages are at best stationary, and zero-hour contracts are increasingly the norm. Any news that scarce jobs are drying up is deeply worrying. What will these newly jobless do with industry and employers wary about hiring at a time when the economic future is still uncertain? We can't safeguard all jobs, but the time has come for drastic action in finding new ways to keep employment on the borough. Otherwise, the future looks increasingly bleak.
A community has halted the dumping of clay at a site in Edmonton. To the dismay of locals in Upper Edmonton, the National Grid had proposed plans to store 45,000 cubic metres of the clay at a disused gasworks in Witherby Lane, Upper Edmonton, for 3 years as part of a major tunnelling project. The clay, extracted from a tunnelling site in Eid Road, Haringey, was due to be stockpiled before a local community organisation stepped in to oppose the plans. Residents of Edmonton Angel Community Together, REACT, filed a petition objecting to the National Grid's application for planning permission submitted to Enfield Borough Council. The weight of opposition led to the dismissal of the proposed plans made by the infrastructure company, which will now have to review its application or find another site. REACT chairman Grace Kwafik Kamal said, "I am absolutely ecstatic that councillors decided to oppose this proposal. We have always been the forgotten people in Enfield, but now we have taken a stand and it has paid off. No one in the area was notified of what was going on, and this would have gone ahead if we hadn't noticed. It is up to us to make sure that something gets done for ourselves." Councillor Del Goddard, who objected to the proposal, said storing clay in meridian water was absolutely inappropriate when the council should be receiving proposals for housing and decommissioning the gas holders. He added, "It is inappropriate for Meridian Water, now launched, to see the start of the building and completion of 3 schools, a new station and the additional rail link while the area is blighted with tons of clay."
It is something everyone does, yet no one wants to talk about, leaving many to suffer in silence. On average, people spend 3 years on the toilet, but not talking about problems experienced there can lead to life-threatening illnesses being unchecked. This was nearly the case for Stephen Brown, 47, from Lower Edmonton, who had suffered from irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, and piles and assumed there was nothing wrong. But almost a year later, when the symptoms had been continuous, he eventually told his wife and GP, who discovered he had bowel cancer. The building surveyor said, "I just thought it was another case of piles. I left it nearly a whole year before telling my wife because I was embarrassed. I was very fortunate that the cancer hadn't spread from my bowel." After seeing his GP in January last year, Mr. Brown had an operation in March 2012 and has made a full recovery. However, with nearly half of the population too embarrassed to talk to the GP about their issues, the 47-year-old had a word of warning to others who might be suffering from the same problems. He said, "My underlining message would be to think of the worst-case scenario and go to the GP as soon as possible. Most men have this macho mindset and will think it's just nothing. We need to look at cancer as the first possibility and work our way back toward minor problems, because ultimately bowel cancer is the killer and not piles."
A fourth man has been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder after two men were found with stab wounds on a roundabout near the upper part of Edmonton. The 33-year-old man was arrested on Tuesday last week and has been released on police bail until September. Police were called to a slip road off the eastbound carriageway of the A10 near the Cambridge roundabout at about 11:30 p.m. on Saturday, August the 3rd. They discovered two men who had been stabbed in the chests lying near the roundabout. Police believe the men may have been stabbed during a brawl in Whetstone. Officers received reports of a disturbance there shortly after 11 p.m. on the same night. The two wounded men were taken to the Royal London Hospital in Whitechapel, East London, where one remains in a critical but stable condition. The second victim, a 30-year-old, was discharged from hospital last Wednesday and then arrested on suspicion of violent disorder. He has been bailed until a date later this month. Another 30-year-old man and a 25-year-old man, arrested last Wednesday on suspicion of violent disorder, have been bailed until later this month. These other men, aged 31, 30, and 26, have been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder, and all three have been bailed until next month.
A mix-up at an Enfield sports club left Saturday's annual carnival with a small crowd and vastly reduced takings. The annual event was thrown into doubt last week after the gates to the venue were suddenly closed on Thursday. Work to relay turf on the football pitches at Brimsdown Sports and Social Club in Goldsdown Road was underway when Enfield Borough Council suddenly ordered the site's closure. The carnival, which has been a regular fixture in the borough for 123 years and usually attracts 700 to 800 people, faced possible cancellation, and Brimsdown FC had to cancel its first home match of the season against Kent's Athletic. The gates were reopened late on Friday, although large sections of the ground were cordoned off. Organiser John Ashton said the event was very poorly attended, and that's a real shame. The parade still took place, but when it reached the fete, people did not seem interested. I blame the lack of preparation time we had because of this gate issue. I think everyone who turned out for their support, and we managed to raise £101 for a local voluntary first aid charity. We will start planning for next year and hope that everything can get back on track. Sports and Social Club Chairman Gary Brooker said, "We were carrying out improvements to the site. The council put a stop notice, so we shut the gates. I am hoping we can work with the council to get the fields back as quickly as possible." Brimsdown FC manager Lee Okubenji said, "It was very sudden and we were disappointed we had no prior warning. It's a shame the game was cancelled. However, Brimsdown have another home match this weekend and we fully expect that fixture to take place." A statement from Enfield Borough Council said the temporary stop notice was served to prevent unauthorised depositing of material on the site and to control commercial vehicle movements associated with this.
Isn't the internet wonderful? We can sit in comfort at home and visit faraway places and meet all manner of interesting new people. We can take out the aggression of a long day by ranting on a message board, or get retweeted to thousands by insulting a celebrity. And therein lies the danger. To be on the receiving end of deeply personal jibes about your deepest insecurities is horrific. But Gary Kusulu is right. The only thing we can do to stop young people feeling that the world is out to get them every time they log on is to educate them in the vagaries of social media. Children need to be equipped with both the technical skills to know how to block and report abuse, but also with the life skills to know that anything they see targeted on them online must be taken with a bucket load of salt. The council should back crusaders like Mr. Kusulu to the hilt, as with his expertise, Enfield could be one of the few boroughs in the country where young people can feel properly safe online.
Bouncy castles thronged with children whose faces were painted all the colours of the rainbow left Enfield Town Park reverberating with shrieks and squeals of laughter last Wednesday. To celebrate National Play Day, Enfield Council's play development team put together a free and fun day of play for the borough's children, with arts and crafts, dancing, a host of child-friendly adventures on offer. The council was able to drive home its message that it's good to play. The authority's play development manager, Ricky Williams, said, "Play is one of the best ways to learn. Enjoy the company of the young and have some fun." The children were not the only ones having fun in the sun, and the council's cabinet member for children and young people, Afa Orhan, speaking before the event, said the day was sure to be a hit with parents and their kids. Enfield Town Park will be a wonderful playground for young children, and they can have some fun in the splash pad, he said. This is a special day celebrating our children's right to play, but I also hope that Enfield's children take full advantage of the free activities at centres throughout the boroughs and the adventure palaces in all our parks.
An Enfield newsagent has managed to raise more than £1 million for good causes in the borough. Gray's Newsagent in Enfield Town, established in 1909, is one of the oldest independent shops in the town centre, and it has been able to raise £1.606 million through the National Lottery Fund. All the money will go towards good causes in Enfield, with the National Lottery determining where it will be spent. Chris Patel, 67, who has owned the newsagents for more than 30 years, was delighted and surprised when he heard the news. He said, "I had absolutely no idea it was that much. When the rep came down to the shop to tell us, I was gobsmacked. We are so proud that we have managed to raise that amount, and we are very proud that we have done something for the community because we are part of the Enfield community." The money was raised with the sale of lottery tickets and is something which Mr. Patel hopes will breathe life back into the town. He said, "It is a brilliant amount, and as someone who has lived and worked here for more than 30 years, we hope this money can reinvigorate the town and bring back the feel-good factor. We were very delighted, and so was the National Lottery, because it doesn't happen every day in a small unit like this. It's nice to be recognised, and it makes you feel good about what you have done."
I have Jane Johnson's column. She is the Enfield Borough Police Commander. I am in my office. It's 4 a.m. and I'm the night duty senior cover for North London. The last 3 nights have been relatively busy. My phone has not stopped ringing about all manner of things, and it just reinforced to me how much London is a 24/7 city. We are 4 weeks out from changes to the way we police in Enfield. The changes ensure that we are able to deliver policing within the government's budget and that we are flexible to the challenges of this bright and vibrant city. Enfield has grown in complexity, and every day we deal with incidents that used to be typical of inner London. I'm very pleased that under the new model, the police numbers in Enfield will increase significantly by 85 officers. That is a massive investment, and one I know will deliver better visibility across the borough, and extra staff to target crime and antisocial behaviour to improve the experiences of both residents and visitors. We have already received new officers, and Enfield now has 556 cops, which is nearly 80 more than when I arrived almost 18 months ago. Our final target is 609 by 2015. On a less positive note, I've been looking at our figures for theft, namely snatch and pickpocketing, and there has been a very worrying increase in these types of offences, despite our success in reducing the more serious offence of robbery. Experience shows that potential victims can really help prevent crime, and I ask for your support with the following. Be aware of your surroundings, especially when using your phone in the street. It can easily be snatched from your hand when you're distracted. Make sure you know the IMEI number for your phone and register it, as this will help us to trace it back to you if it is recovered. On smartphones, load the Find My Phone app, that's APP. We use these to track stolen phones with some success. Ladies, please close your handbag. Do not leave it unattended under any circumstances, and consider using a purse bell, which your local Safer Neighbourhood team can provide free or off charge. Finally, once again, please follow us on Twitter at MPS for sugar Enfield.
An Enfield woman who spent 11 months helping disadvantaged school children in Tottenham was recognised for her work at a special graduation ceremony. Abigail Grantmond worked with pupils at Gladsmore Community School in Crowland Road as part of a programme run by the charity City Year to help those in deprived communities. She was one of 110 young people aged between 18 and 25, who acted as role models, mentors, and tutors for students in 12 schools across London. The team collectively delivered more than 140,000 hours of help, which reached more than 6,000 students. Ms. Grantmond said, "What really drew me to the programme was its length. With a whole year of volunteering, I was certain I'd be able to have a sufficient impact. Also, it gave me the opportunity to apply what I'd learned in my degree while also working with children, which is something I knew I wanted to do."
Set a task of raising £6,000 in just 8 months for a trip of a lifetime, 3 Enfield students had to dig deep. But through sheer determination and many hours fundraising, the trio from Chase Community School in Churchbury Lane pulled it off and flew out to South America last month. Jags Barth of Lansbury Road, Brimsdown, Katie Caleno of Albany Park Avenue, Brimsdown, and Hannah Gumble from Stevenage fulfilled their mission of raising the money and were able to volunteer for the Operation Wallachia charity in Peru. The charity works in national parks all over the world measuring biodiversity. The 3 students worked in Pachyasamaria National Reserve in the Amazon rainforest, conducting surveys of the animals living there. Jags Barth, 17, who cooked his own chicken curry for all 1,200 students at his school and arranged a 5-a-side football tournament to raise money, was fascinated by the stark contrast between Enfield and the Amazon. He said, "We live in a boat with 110 others, including staff, local Peruvians and university students. On board, chefs would cook 3 meals a day, which were mainly rice with an accompaniment. The best part was seeing the diversity from Enfield, which is all buildings, into the Amazon, where it's all nature. Waking up to a monkey looking at you was the best. My most memorable moment was catching a piranha, and within 1 hour, eating it. Bagpacks at Sainsbury's, selling Krispy Kreme donuts, organising a disco and receiving grants were all ways in which these 3 students raised the £6,000 total and spent 16 days in South America in July. Katie, also 17, said, "Never take what you see for granted. When water and electricity is limited, you realise how precious they are. Going to Peru has been a real eye-opener, and I'm glad I did it." Ariane Charlabos, head of geography at the school, organised the trip and was amazed at the efforts the 3 students made to raise the money. She said, "The trip with Operation Wallachia was a great success. The conservation work and data collection on endangered species opened the eyes of the students about the importance of small actions to make a big difference in the world."
Almost 200 vehicles were stopped by police during an operation last week designed to disrupt criminals. Operation Cubo saw officers stopping cars being driven without insurance and not in accordance with the license. During the Met-wide crackdown on Wednesday and Thursday, 189 vehicles were stopped in Enfield. 9 were seized and 10 fixed penalty notices were issued. 2 people were arrested for having a blade, and another person who was wanted on a domestic violence charge was arrested. Commander Stephen Watson, who led the operation, said the Met again provided a strong presence across the capital, stationed at 300-plus stop sites. This visible presence will act to reassure the public and increase their confidence in our service. This was the 22nd Operation Cubo, and together we made a significant impact across the capital. We have now reached the end of side 1 of this tape. Please stop your machine now, take out the cassette, turn it over and start side 2.